Ma'am, can you say your name and your title?
Sure. I'm Dr. Elisa Henry. I'm the department chair for engineering technology.
Yes, ma'am. And do you mind if I start asking you a couple of questions about your profession and your field?
Go for it.
Yes, ma'am. What terms do you hear a lot throughout your field? Terms, papers, genres that you hear a lot while working?
As in reference to,
Engineering technology.
like, just words that come up frequently.
Yes, ma'am.
Things specific to engineering technology, things that come up regularly are implementation, testing, quality assurance, reliability, critical thinking is something that comes up quite often when we're discussing the field.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that good?
Yes, ma'am, that answers. Because we have to know some terminology throughout our paper so we can feel more implemented in our major
Okay.
for this. What are some genres that you can put your career field in 3 genres? Of your work, your study, your research, something like that.
So when you're saying genre, what are you?
Mostly the
What are you
main
thinking of?
topics of your field. The genre of the writing you use, the genre of who you talk to. Like it's hard to kind of put genre into a specific form. So the genre of writing you use day to day.
Okay. So most of the writing I do on a daily basis is communication between other faculty, students, our constituents, those who support the program, our advisory board, companies in the area. And so a lot of what I'm doing is more informal technical writing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of informal voice emails back and forth to others, building relationships. But when I'm conveying very specific details, like if I'm in discussions with a company to find a capstone project that they are going to fund for us, and they want details about that, then that's a more formal technical writing voice, where I'm trying to summarize a lot of technical information very clearly and very succinctly. And so that the tone changes very quickly when, hey, how are you doing? How's your dog? To, this is what we're looking for in a senior capstone project. Engineers love bulleted lists, and so there's a lot of outline form and technical communication between engineers, so that you could stick headings on everything and search it really quickly. Engineering technical writing is a lot like that.
Yes, ma'am. I only know a little bit. I'm a telecom engineer.
Okay.
And so I know they really just like bullet points, dashes, just have a list.
Yes.
If they don't, they kind of get a little bit irky. So I completely understand.
Yeah, sometimes other writers, other like, more English writing focused people laugh at engineers because we tend to default that even in like Christmas letters now. It's like, here's what we did, bam, 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 bam. I had an excellent technical writing instructor in school. He was a professional contract writer,
Mhm.
so he worked in industry and he taught classes as an adjunct for the university. So one of the other things I do is there are some large technical documents that we write. When we were creating the major, we had to put in a proposal to AIC, the Alabama governing body that approves or disapproves new majors.
Okay.
We just turned in a large 300-page document to ABET, the accrediting board for engineering and engineering technology programs. So that's of course even a different form of writing. It's not just like a white paper, not like a one-page summary, but you're trying to answer a whole list of specific questions that someone has put out to you, and you're trying to provide evidence back to them that you've fulfilled that. So it's almost like an engineering legal document where you get into that legalese type, or very specific words have very specific meanings. and trying to make it so it's a searchable document, while at the same time it has this very formal technical voice. But for it to really achieve its purpose, you also want it to tell your story. So there's a little bit of storytelling that goes into writing technical documents.
Okay.
Which, because if you want, say we're applying for if we were applying for an NSF grant, you want all the details in there, right? So here's why we're asking for the money. Here's the resources we have to do what we say we're going to do. Here are the people who are going to be working with us. Here's their signed statements, as addendums saying that, they agree that they're going to work with us in this way. And that's all very useful information, and that's great. But everyone else who's applying for an NSF grant, that's the minimum, right? That's the low bar. Everyone else is supplying those same pieces of information. This piece that's going to help you obtain someone awarding that grant to you over someone else is the personal story behind it, right? The why is this important? Why is it important to me as the person reaching out to ask for someone to give us this money? How do we make a personal connection between the people who are making these decisions on where this money should go? Because that's really, we care about the technology, but really the reasons that drive our society and drive education and funding are the passions of the people behind it, right? We do it because we care.
Okay.
And
we never knew any of this.
We want to influence, the world around us, so you have to be able to interject your own voice into things and be able to have some of that passion, the why. Why is this important? The how is of course very important, the details and the structure of it. But really what brings out technical writing is when you can really convey, here's why this is important, here's why we're doing it, here's the answers you're looking for to the questions you've asked, and still keep that personal connection to it.
Yes, man, that was amazing. I never knew the personal aspect in technical writing and engineering, because they only told us there's no passion, there's no emotion when you're technically writing. You just give the details, you give the facts, and that is it. Throughout all my learning, even here.
And that needs to be it needs to be, when you're presenting data, it does need to be unbiased, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you do need to clearly represent what you saw and what you found, but why you're doing it or why you want someone to read it, like even a lab report, why, if you really found something interesting, different than someone else's lab report, then what are you going to use in that very small section you have in an introduction or in a conclusion to convey, this is interesting, this is important, you should care about what I'm writing because it is important and it is interesting, and here's why.
Wow, they need to start teaching that more in the class about the difference between getting a funding and not. It's just that small passion and small connection you can make with somebody that gets you over the edge. Okay. Let me try to find the next question. Are there any barriers or something preventing people from coming into this field that you think are happening?
Yes, definitely.
Do you mind expanding on that?
I would love to. So there are a couple of barriers. Here at UAH specifically, I would say the largest barrier is people just don't know the major exists. It's fairly new, and it's just not something we have a lot of alumni, and so our story hasn't been told a lot outside and we sit in the College of Science, which has been greatly beneficial to us. We have great support from the dean and the provost, but it's engineering sitting in the College of Science. So it's just in a location students aren't looking for. So sometimes when students find us, it's a bit of a surprise. A happy surprise, but a surprise. So that's a barrier we're working on, and we're working on some advertisement. So it just, students here on campus, but also people in the general community know more that the option is there. So that's one barrier. The other barrier that I find, and we actually see this on a national level, is that there's not a clear understanding on what engineering technology is, particularly different from, say, like mechanical engineering or industrial engineering. And engineering technology has the same flavors as engineering. There's mechanical engineering technology and industrial engineering technology, and some others you wouldn't think of. There's medical device engineering technology, which is fascinating. But engineering technology here on UAH is intentionally, we started with general engineering technology, so it doesn't fall under a specific flavor of engineering,
Mhm.
but it most closely resembles mechanical or manufacturing engineering technology in the courses we offer. And that's kind of a side note. But what we find at the national level is people are fairly familiar with associate degrees in engineering technology, because there are quite a few of those, and there are fewer bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees in engineering technology versus our cousins, mechanical and electrical and chemical engineering. So when people think of engineering technology, they're often thinking about an associate's degree, which is a different level of education, right? There are different jobs, there's different expectations for someone with an associate's degree than someone with a bachelor's degree. So there are some employers, particularly some people in the federal government, that exclude people with engineering technology degrees from certain positions. Mostly from what we can tell is because they think it's an associate's degree and they need someone with a bachelor's degree. So there are associate degrees in engineering technology. There are associate degrees in engineering. But people aren't really clear that there are
Higher education.
there are pathways in both all the way up to doctorate degrees, with the difference being engineering, the current terminology that I've been able to ascertain is there was a big change in the curriculum in engineering right after World War II, late 1940s, early 50s. Computers were really starting to become available. I mean, they were still punch card and the size of a room, but the things you could do with a computer and the analytical calculations you were able to do was changing engineering and what was able to do. So there was both a desire to do research to push the boundaries of engineering. That's where, finite element analysis comes from, CAD, computer aided drafting, Industry 4.0, doing things, models that are contained in the cloud, fluids modeling, where we can design entire, stealth fighter jets, and these complicated systems came from some of that computing. So we needed research at universities to be able to help drive taking advantage of that and how to apply that into engineering. But there was also an acknowledgement, it was like, well, yes, but we need people who know how to turn a wrench, and how to take all these great theoretical ideas and implement them and make them happen. Because being able to, you've seen this in your engineering classes, right? It's different to be able to sit down and solve a problem on paper and then turn around and say, okay, now how am I going to really make this happen in a system? And of course they're related and there's overlap, but the focus is different. And sometimes all my degrees are in mechanical engineering, so I can say this, engineers can be a little snooty.
Yes.
So engineering degrees that focused on that theoretical, pushing the theoretical side, there's a lot of math that's required, right? A lot of calculus, a lot of math, and it's used in a lot of the development of, like finite element is of course going to use a lot of math. Complicated mechanism design is going to use a lot of math. Engineering technology uses math as a tool to solve problems, but it's more implementation, and so the math requirements are lower. There's integral and differential calculus. We require statistics. We do a lot of quality control kind of optimization work. So sometimes engineers who have all this math experience look at a degree that doesn't require all that math and consider it, less than. And so that could be a boundary for encouraging people to go into that degree. Whereas if you go do a survey of engineers who work in industry, how often on a daily basis do they use this math? It's a very small percentage of professional engineers that use calculus on a regular basis. Some of them do. If you want to design the latest, greatest jet engine, you're going to be doing some very advanced thermodynamics and computer modeling, and yeah, you're going to live in that world. But a lot of the day-to-day work that gets done is more implementation, actually more focused on what engineering technology is looking at than what a lot of engineering curriculum looks at. So it's, I'd say it's a lack of understanding that's a boundary, and a lack of respect. That I know some brilliant engineering technology graduates and professionals who can do all the math and even took all the math classes, but what they really want to do is the implementation.
The more hands-on work.
Yeah. So it's not a lack of ability, it's not a lack of education, it's just a change in focus.
And a small lack of understanding.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually do have an associate in engineering technology, and I wanted to keep going with that for my bachelor's, but they didn't offer it here yet. But so I just went into manufacturing, mechanical engineering.
And there's a lot of overlap there.
Yes, ma'am. Now that they offered it, I wanted to go back and finish it. I kind of want to do my master's, but like you said, there's no full education path.
There are some. We don't have one here. I keep have students asking me if we are going to implement a master's degree.
That's what I was hoping y'all were getting.
And I have the dean finally talking about it. Like we need to get our ABET accreditation squared away.
I don't want to go to another. I love UH. I don't want to go to another university trying to get the engineering technology degree. I want to get my full education here. So
I can't guarantee, or like guarantee we won't have something in place next year. I have him down to talking within the next 5 years time frame.
Yes, ma'am. As long
we'll
as
see.
it's in the air. If I can't do it, hopefully someone under me will get their full education at UAH.
There are some other really good programs out there, and some of them are online. So that's, if that becomes something you want to pursue, there are some other options out there for you until we get ours up and running.
Yes, ma'am. Are there breakdowns in communication that affect member engagement and participation?
Oh yeah, definitely. We have a unique modality that we teach in. Do you mean here specifically in the major, or engineering technology in a broader field?
Engineering technology in a broader field.
So, yes, and I will say a lot of what we see on the professional scale, we also see here at the university. And I think it's one of the things that our advisory board talks about. It's one thing that comes up when we talk. It's one reason we built our curriculum the way we have, is that a lack of communication causes a large percentage of the issues that you'll see in industry. Is that you'll see one group doing this and one group doing this. They don't know what each other's doing. There's an issue that other people who have the resources that can help solve that solution don't know there's a problem, because people don't communicate it for one reason or another. We've even, we have a textbook. It's not a textbook, it's just a book written about safety culture that we use in senior capstone. And he talks about an instance where it's everyone's responsibility for safety, which is true. And he says there's a lack of communication. Like, say it's a rainy day and you go down the back stairs at work outside and you almost slip and fall because the stairs are slick because they're wet. Mm-hmm. Oh, but you saved yourself. Whew, okay, good, I didn't fall down the stairs. But you don't tell anybody that those stairs are slick when it's wet because they don't have, the grip treads on them, or they've worn out. Well, so maybe the next time it's raining, someone else goes out there and they slip on the stairs because they're slick because it's wet, but they do fall and they do get hurt. And that's unfortunate, right? Mm-hmm. But we often don't think that there's a responsibility there when a crisis is averted, even, that's a piece of information we should share, that we should communicate. And that, I mean, and that's a small example, but that happens in other things too. Like you run into a difficulty, a sticky spot, and you're able, through grit, through hard work, through determination, through your personal connections, to make it work. And so then you don't really think about that difficulty, but it's something maybe in the process of the place you work, or something lacking, or that if you talked about it as a group, or talked about it, you know, with a supervisor or a supervisor above that, if you pass that information along, might lead to a better solution to that sticky spot. So the next time you have to work through something similar, or someone else does, it's a known problem, and it can be addressed. It's one reason I like UAH has implemented their charter referral program, so that if faculty see a difficulty a student's having, they can let the Dean of Students office know. And then if another faculty member seeing the same thing, you know, so if the Dean's office sees, it might just be a student's having a hard time in that class and they need some extra tutoring or office hours or whatever. But if they start getting, you know, multiple pieces of information come from multiple faculty or people around campus from that one student, they can say, we need to reach out. We need to make sure that this is something that's looked into. Something's going on here, and the student needs resources. What resources do we have that they need that we can help them succeed? And it's, you know, communication in engineering technology has the same type of issues that you'll really find anywhere.
Okay. That's really interesting. I didn't actually think about the process of the people doing the math, like you said, and the people implementing it, having a communication error between the two. I never thought about that.
There's a, have you heard, they tell the story in some of our classes. Have you heard the story of the first Mars rover?
No.
The one that burned up? So when the Mars rover landed, there was big, huge, I mean, and the thing ran forever, right? And you would hear information about it, and it's doing this, and it's here, and it's finding out this discovery and this discovery, and the Mars rover is a really big deal. Well, the first one we sent was still a very cool rover, well designed, a lot of money obviously invested in getting it there, and it burned up on reentry. There were two different teams that were working on the system, and they were working on how the jets would need to fire on reentry to get it at the correct reentry angle so it wouldn't burn up on entry. Well, one team was working on, you know, receiving data from all of the sensors and what that would look like, and then one team was working on, okay, we have this data, now we need to tell the thrusters how to adjust the angle, and we need to make sure that that's happening. Well, this team was working in SI units, and this team was working in English units. And somehow when that information got passed, when they brought the systems together, and the information got passed from this system to this system, a units conversion didn't happen. So you can imagine what the numbers that they were using for the calculations to adjust the thrusters was nowhere near where it should have been. So its angle was actually, I believe, too shallow, if I remember right. So it got too hot, and maybe it was too, I don't remember. The angle was off, it got too hot, it burned up.
So just a small effective communication could have saved so much research.
Yeah.
And stuff that we could be using in different factories of today.
Yeah, and assumptions that people made. You know, obviously you're working in English units. Obviously you're working in SI units, you know.
No, blame who, blame them. Someone needs to take the blame for it. Never thought of, I'm really happy I chose engineering technology.
Good, I'm glad.
Are there adequate support systems for new members to these programs, to engineering technology?
Yes and no. I think it depends. I've found that the students here at UAH are very good at supporting each other when they get to know each other and helping each other out. I've seen a lot of good camaraderie. And I've seen in this area, in Huntsville, I've also seen our students accepted very well into positions where they're working, they're thriving, and they're doing really well. But I think we can do better. There are some student societies and some national societies that focus on engineering technology, and I would like to see those in place both for students here on campus and once students are professionals, that they have access and are participating in those societies so that professionally they have that support. I think our students are doing well. I just think there are some other things that could be put into play that would make that better.
Yes, ma'am. If you had the power to change that, what would you implement?
I do have the power to do some things. Mostly it's just a timing issue. I think we should have like low-hanging fruit, easy things. I think we should have at least quarterly engineering technology socials, like whether we get together and just eat pizza or go on a tour to a facility or have someone come in and talk about how to find a job in engineering technology. Whatever is relevant to the students, but something where they can gather together and spend time together on a topic that's relevant to them. There's also an engineering technology National Honor Society that we want to bring up on campus. That one we need to be ABET accredited because it's attached to ABET, and so that's a next year issue. And there's also National Honor Societies here already on campus that are open to all the fields of engineering. It's not specific to mechanical or electrical, but I don't think that connection's really been made that they're looking for our students to join. But I also don't think it just needs to be honor societies, because I have students who very intentionally have GPAs that are lower. When I mean it's intentional, it means I have students who are working full-time and have families and kids and health issues and taking care of parents, and they're making very calculated decisions. I want to be. And so, okay, now it might be, now I'm going to go to my kid's ball game, or now I'm going to take my mom to her medical appointment, or now, they're just being very careful with their time.
Okay.
So grades are important to them, and they could be straight 4.0 students, but they're letting some things intentionally go because they also, they're spreading themselves out over other obligations. It doesn't mean that they lack the knowledge or the intelligence or the drive. It just means they're making hard choices. So I was like, you don't have to have a 4.0 to be an excellent engineering and technology student or engineering technology professional.
Okay. Never knew people lowered their grades just so they can avoid some functions and responsibilities. I'm learning a lot today. Are there opportunities for all members to actually contribute to the community? You already expanded on that. For skills and events within the community. That would be a good question. Are there opportunities for members to develop their skills and advance within the community?
Oh, so many opportunities. And some of that is there are a lot of professional societies out there. There are ones that are here local, and then there are ones that are national, and it kind of depends on what area people want to focus on. I would say even like participating in Toastmasters, right, is something where people in engineering technology graduates can continue to grow in there, because being able to present out is something that helps you advance in your field, no matter what your field is. And if you're in sales or that's a skill that's important. But being able to participate in we're general engineering technology, so typically students could, like I said, we look like mechanical, so join professional societies like ASME, or if you work in aeronautics, there's the National Aeronautics and Institutional Society, or Society for Advancement of Materials and Process Engineering, or there's a wide range of professional societies that students can participate in. But there are also local opportunities for people. One thing a lot of students don't know about is UAH has our 4-credit courses, but we also have non-credit education courses that are professional development, where students can come back on campus and you don't get credit, but you do usually a certificate, and you can continue to learn, they do courses on model-based systems engineering, or you want to learn more about C programming, or you want to learn more about Industry 4.0, or we have a relationship with NCDMM across the street. They're a nonprofit that works to implement cutting-edge manufacturing technology in the defense sector. So they hold courses, if there's cutting-edge equipment for quality control, where you can go in and you can make very precise measurements. They can get access to that equipment and hold a course, and you can come and you can learn about that new piece of equipment, or new policies coming into place. And so there are things going on. Huntsville is ripe with opportunities for continued education. And it's not just the education, but when you participate in those things, you make connections with people. And I would say most advancements, most jobs that people get, or advancements that they get, are related to their skills and their efforts, but it's usually a personal connection you have with someone that really helps you get that advancement or that job. Not always, but often. Whether it's right or not, I mean, that's just true. When people personally know you, they're more likely to bring you into their organization, or speak up for you, or say, yes, they would be a great person to work with. We want them in this position.
Throughout all my study and everything, I feel like personal connection, like you said, it might be wrong, but we're still people at the end of the day. If you know someone, you can trust them. You know they're honest. You know who they are and what they're able to do with that personal connection. And we say hire the best person for the job, but is the best person the job the person who knows the most, or the person you most want to work with? Right? Because we spend a large portion of our lives working with other people, and it can be really miserable, or it can be a really great experience. So I don't know. There's value in it's a hard thing to
knowing
separate,
people.
because someone can be awesome for the job, but not a great person to work with. At the end of the day, they might be snooty, they might be uptight, they might just be rude at the end of the day, but they're doing an awesome job. But a person that doesn't know as much can also be a great person to work with, collaborate with you, ask any question you need. So I've never noticed that in the engineering field yet. Why? With little I have, and I think that's all the questions I have for today.
All right.
And what is your name again?
Dr. Elisa Henry.
I think I messaged you. I'm Alton Giles, the one that emailed you about the interview and observation to begin with. I thought I would have to interview you next week. I actually sent you an email for the 29th, so this is awesome. This actually got me way ahead. Do you mind if we do observation Monday or anytime next week you're available, so I can actually see your process and see your connection in your community you work with day in and day out?
What time frame?
Mondays and Wednesdays.
What chunk of time?
As much time as you can give me. It doesn't have to be a long observation.
I'm trying to think when I might be doing something interesting rather than just writing on a computer, because that's boring.
It's your day in and day out life. It's not like every day we're throwing up rockets in the air. I want to see your day-to-day process.
Yeah, because most of my process is emails. It's sad, but true.
It's not sad. Most of the biggest transactions in scientific research go through email, so that's a good start. And most of my work is emails also. It's how you make connections, it's how you get processes going, it's how you can get your job done by the end of the day. So I don't mind if it's emails, I don't mind if we just throw a rocket to the moon.
Well, tomorrow is moving day, so it will be very exciting. Not very typical, but very exciting. So if you want to come hang out tomorrow, you're very welcome.
You just need help moving.
No, we actually have movers coming.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we wouldn't make you carry much. We only make you carry a little bit.
I do not mind helping. If you want to do it next week when you're free and you're fully moved into your office, that would be fine. If you want me to, we have ABET visit coming up, and so it gets a little